So I'm not trying to Mark Holmes you, so I'm going to put this at the beginning of this video I just did. But right before I could upload, we had some even more Eagles news coming in. Prince Tanogo Wahanago, I can never pronounce his name. The 6th round pick of the Eagles last year was left unprotected, and he has now been picked up by the Kansas City Chiefs and is on their practice squad. So the Eagles lost him. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. But what I do like is we're getting reports now that the Eagles have requested to interview Eric Bieniemy. That's right, Eric Bieniemy. In this video, I'm going to talk about I'm wanting him to be interviewed. Well, guess what? As soon as I finish the video, it comes out that they requested to interview him. He is my #1 candidate for this job. He is the guy I want. So we're going to see what happens. Now, with all that said, here's the rest of this video. An over-exaggeration of reality. I mean, by no means am I a defender of Howie Roseman, but does this picture look like a giant fat head of Carson Wentz taking up the whole wall? A shrine of Carson Wentz? I think not. Yo, everybody, how you doing? King Dingbat here. So, today we have come with the hell is that? It's a big-ass dog. Dallas still stinks. Yo, everybody doing? King Dingbat here, and I hope everybody's having a great day. I hope you guys are doing well. We got a lot of Eagles news going on, and every time I'm about to go make a video, there's new news, and then there's new news. And, you know, my thing is, I'm not going to Mark Holmes you guys, okay? I'm not going to put out 80 videos in an hour so you have about 80 different notifications going on. I'm going to try to put it on one video, and if something happens later, we'll do that too. So there's a lot of stuff, a lot of Eagle stuff going on. First off, I want to tell you guys, I will be streaming football tomorrow, maybe tonight if I get my chores done. I got to get my chores done first, but if I do, I'll be streaming tonight, but definitely tomorrow. So look for that. But we got a lot of Eagle stuff going on, man. It is crazy with all this stuff going on. I mean, obviously, the big story is Carson Wentz and Jeff McLean article. I'm going to give you my thoughts and my opinion on it shortly. But first, we got some other things going on. Deuce Staley interviewed for a job. A lot of Eagle players are hoping and praying that Deuce gets his shot. You can't not like Deuce Staley. You cannot hope that he gets a shot in a way because he's been so faithful to the organization. He's been there for a while, and he definitely deserves it in those terms. However, they interviewed him. They also requested, and I think they're going to interview the defensive coordinator of the Rams, Brandon Staley. I think he's an interesting name. I like his style of defense. I think he has aggressive defense. He comes at you with a lot of different looks. So could be pretty interesting to see. I'm going to be watching his defense very closely today against Green Bay. Then it is just breaking right now that the Eagles are going to interview offensive coordinator of the Patriots, Josh McDaniels. Now, I have some issues with Josh McDaniels, okay? I have some issues with Josh McDaniels. I was really pissed off that he backed out of that Indianapolis Colts job. Because when he backed out of that Indianapolis Colts job, he screwed us. He screwed us big time. Big time, okay? So he totally screwed us. But the Eagles are going to interview him. And I will say, a lot of people think very highly of him. They think he's a good, young offensive coordinator. He had many years with Brady. He was a former coach of the Broncos. That didn't work out that well. Question is going to be, would he go to the Eagles and fall into their structure? Now, I know there have been some reports. I think Garofalo said that the Eagles are willing to give a coach more control. I don't buy all that crap. I don't buy it. I'll believe it when I see it. But Josh McDaniels is an interesting name. He has worked with Tom Brady before. Maybe he could come and fix Carson Wentz. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. But he is also interviewing for the Eagles job. So you got Deuce yesterday. You got Brandon Staley at some point. You got Josh McDaniels now. So going to be interesting. I'm sad that the Entertainer Talking Sports got a job with the Atlanta Falcons because I would have had so much fun with that over the years. It was going to be fun. Arthur Smith goes to Atlanta. Apparently the Eagles were very impressed with him. Doesn't matter. they weren't that impressed with him because they didn't get him. So we'll see where this goes. I'm still waiting. I'm still wanting Eric Bieniemy to get interviewed. That's the guy. That's my number one guy on the list. We'll see what happens, though. Now, let's talk about Carson Wentz. Let's talk about this story by Jeff McLean in the Enquirer. It seems like every weekend since Carson Wentz has gotten benched, there's articles trashing him. If you notice, every weekend since he's been benched, there's been articles trashing Carson Wentz. Or saying Carson Wentz out, the relationship's broke, all these kind of things, right? Every year, the last 3 years, around this time, you get a hit piece on Carson Wentz, okay? Now, as fans, how the hell are we supposed to know what the hell is really going on? How are we really supposed to know? We're not there day to day. All we can go on is what we see. So I'm going to tell you my perspective from what I see. I'm going to give you my thoughts. And that's it. That's all I can say, But here's the thing. This article makes Carson Wentz look like a spoiled brat, a selfish player, a guy who doesn't live in reality, a guy who thumbs his nose at authority, which, hey, I'm okay with rebels. I'm one myself. Hell with authority. But, coaches, stuff like that, football, the way structure of football goes, you got to follow what your coaches say and things like that. It just makes him sound like an unlikable person, a really bad person, and a guy that any team would love to get rid of. However, it has also been reported that the Eagles are telling whoever the future coach is that Carson Wentz is going to be on the team. Carson Wentz, they want him to be the guy. So we have two different things going on. We have one guy writing an article, trashing this quarterback, making him sound like he needs to go. You have Elliott Shore-Parks tweeting out, the breakup with Carson Wentz and the Eagles should be an easy thing. It should just happen. It's like they want him to go. Like, I can't help but feel like some of these guys just don't like him. Okay? And Carson Wentz has many flaws. He has many faults. He is not perfect. And in a story like this, when you get one guy saying one thing and really Carson not defending himself in the article or anybody speaking up for him in the article. But when you get stories like this, I usually think where there's smoke, there's fire. There's probably some truth to what he's saying, but it's probably over-exaggerated. For example, the picture of Howie Roseman, the whole thing with Howie Roseman having a giant fat head of Carson Wentz and people coming in and just laughing because Carson Wentz is on his wall. When you see the picture of what they're talking about, it is nothing of the sort. Why anybody would come in and laugh at that? It didn't make any sense. They didn't mention that Fletcher Cox was on that picture too. So it's kind of stupid and over-exaggerated. And if they're over-exaggerating a picture, then they're over-exaggerating other things, okay? Did Carson Wentz... Okay, and this is the problem a lot of Eagle fans have with Carson Wentz, and they always bring this up to me. Carson Wentz changes the plays. He changes the plays that Doug Peterson puts out there. Well, yeah, he might. But maybe he does it because the plays Doug Peterson calls stinks. That's why he's doing it. Because he has no confidence in the calls Doug Peterson's making. He's the guy out there that has to take the 50 sacks, that has to throw the ball. If the quarterback doesn't believe in the plays, stop calling the plays. Stop calling the plays that he hates. I don't understand it. For 2 years, 2.5 years, I've been saying, Doug Peterson has to build his offense around the strengths of his quarterback. You have to do that. He doesn't do it. He doesn't do it. And you're going to say, well, why does Nick Foles have success? Well, because he fits what Doug Peterson wants to do. Deke and dunk, quick passing game, those short passes. It's not Carson Wentz. That's not what he does. That's why I want to see a guy like Eric Bieniemy come in. A guy that has experience with a quarterback more like Carson Wentz. Jalen Hurts, why did he have success in Doug Peterson's offense? It's very simple. Because he can move. He could get out of the way in the pocket when the pressure's coming. He can keep a play alive with his feet. He can run buy time, get guys open, okay? A lot of the successful plays that Hurts runs, I'm sorry, but a lot of them are broken plays. A lot of them were him making something out of nothing. So, yeah, does Carson change the plays? Probably. But I'm going to tell you what, I think Doug's play calling stinks. I think it stinks. Since 2017, it was gone. With Frank Reich gone, you could see it in 2018. When Carson came back too early from injury, they were trying to make him Nick Foles. And they did that for 2 years. And this year they were supposed to change, but they didn't have any real offensive coordinator or all those kind of things. So if your quarterback loses confidence in your coach and the play calling, expect him to make changes. Expect it to happen. So, that's how I kind of see it. Now, Carson has many flaws. Okay, he's way too fat. He can't move in the pocket. He's a sitting duck. He's got to go back to the drawing board. He's got to work on his mechanics. There's talk that there's an attitude with Carson that he feels like the coaches work for him. Those kind of things. Well, if that's the case, that's a bad attitude to have. Okay, nobody wants a guy like that on the team. But yet, the Eagles want to bring Carson Wentz back. Is it just strictly money? Maybe. Wouldn't surprise me. But it's very conflicting, the Eagles' attitude where they're going with Carson Wentz over Doug Peterson, yet Carson's the big bad guy. And I got to wonder, I'm just going to be honest, this story coming out when it did, how much of it did Jeff McClain go to Doug people? People who were on Doug's side, who saw things the way Doug did. Maybe even Doug himself. There's a lot of anonymous sources that we just have to assume are sources. We don't know who they are. They're not naming themselves. So how do we really know? I think there's a lot of BS in this story. That's the whole point of my video. I think there's a lot of BS. Not that all of it is BS, because Carson does have flaws. I've heard things like Carson doesn't like to work on his mechanics, and that has really hurt him. I think him gaining weight really hurt him. He does make bad throws. And then there's a whole thing where he doesn't take accountability. Dude, I could put on every game that they lose, and he takes accountability. He talks about how he has to be better. Now, does he not mean it in public? And then he gets behind closed doors, totally something else? Maybe. I don't know. I'm not there. But I think that you had to get rid of Doug if you were going to keep Carson. It obviously, it seems like their relationship was fractured. We're going to know what the truth is. When they bring in another coach, and hopefully a good coach, a good coordinator, we're going to see. Okay, another thing that bothers me with this is, you hear, oh, Carson this, Carson that, Carson this. But I always have this picture in my head of Doug Peterson, was like 2017, talking to Jay Gruden right before a game, talking about Carson Wentz. It's like, this kid does everything we ask of him. He does this, he does that. He's a great kid. He works hard. This kid is a coach's dream if we don't screw him up. How do you go from that to this guy's a prima donna, he don't listen, he does his own thing, he thinks everybody works for him, Eagles give him too much credit. Look, he doesn't deserve all the credit for the Super Bowl. He didn't win the Super Bowl. He didn't win in the playoffs. He just put the Eagles in a position. We should never give Carson Wentz all the credit. You got to give it to Foles. Most of the credit. You got to give a lot of credit to Foles. But you can't just dismiss what Carson Wentz did in 2017 either. I think that's wrong. So when I look at this piece, I look at this article, I'm sorry. I think it's a lot of overreaction. I think it's a lot of making things like a mountain out of a molehill. I'm not saying that there aren't issues. Okay, I'm not saying that there aren't problems. But I don't think it's as bad as it's made to seem in this article. And the proof that I give for that is the picture. Is the picture on Howie Roseman's wall. That picture was not what it's made to seem like when you read that article. And if he's over-exaggerating a picture, how do we know he's not over-exaggerating the rest of the stuff? I don't know Jeff McClain. I have no problem with him or anything like that. I'm just saying, and it may not even be him. He may just be getting this from people who have issues with Carson Wentz. I don't know. I think that it's probably somewhere in the middle. There's some truth to it, and it's made to seem a lot worse than it is. But really, There are some problems. There are some issues. There are things that Carson Wentz does wrong. He is not innocent in this. It's just not as bad as they're making out to seem. And I think if it was that bad, the Eagles would be looking to move on from Carson Wentz, despite how much money he's going to cost them. But they're not. So with that said, those are my thoughts. What are your thoughts? I'll be back maybe tonight for football. If not, definitely a couple games tomorrow. So take care. Talk to you later. And don't be a dingbat.